And now we're learning Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph. Elohadisnan. We have a challenge to Rava's explanation of Simonim Derabanan back on Daf Chav Zayin Amud Beis. It says in the Mishnah, and this Mishnah is back on Daf Chav, Matzah Tachrich Shel Shtaros. You find a whole roll of shtaros, or a good shel shtaros, a bundle of documents. Hareze yachse. You return it. Hachanami name should we say that nichale lelove ladur lemalve? If let's say the lova lost this shtar or this tachrik shel shtaros, is it in his best interest that he would want to return it to the malve? Elamarava simanim doraisa. Let's go to the other extreme. The Torah says, also, why did the Torah have to tell you only return it when somebody comes to demand it? How can we think otherwise? And how do you go about figuring out whether he's a Ramai or not when he claims he lost it? Lav, should we not say b'simanim shmamina? We see clearly that simanim adoraisa. Amar Rava. Now, this is a very strange statement. I mean, Rava just proved that Simonim Adoraisa. What does that mean? Rava came to the conclusion, he resolved our discussion, and he took the position that Simonim Adoraisa. And the Gemara answers, Mishum Dikal maybe Shainina. Of course, you could always give some of the answers that we gave before. And that was back on Daf Chav Zayin and Beis, that we need Eidim and not Simonim. Okay, now Rava gives us a whole list of rules. Number one, Simonim is Simonim. This guy gives us Simonim, this guy gives us. So what do you do with it? Yaniach. You have to wait till Eliyahu Hanavi comes. You can't give it to either one of them because you might be stealing it from the other one. Simonim v'Eidim, you know, Silbal Eidim. If Reuven comes with Simonim, Shimon comes with Eidim, you give it to Shimon because Eidim are more powerful than Simonim. Even if I assume, as Rava concludes, that Simonim Adorais. Simonim is Simonim Eid. What happens if Reuven gives Simonim? Shimon gives Simonim plus Eid. So he has one witness. The Torah doesn't rely on one witness, but one witness is enough to be Machai v'Shvua. And therefore, in this case, again, we're going to have to say that Eidach Command Yaniach, that he has to hold it until Eliyahu Hanavi comes. But in the interim, the one who doesn't have any support of any testimony, not even one witness, he'll have to take a shvur to be machish de'edechad. Edi hariga ve'edin nefila. One says, I can give you a pair of edim that testify that I wove this garment. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you still own it. Maybe you gave it to somebody else. Anyway, and the other one has edim testify that the object fell from his hands. Tinosin edim nefila. We're going to say there's no cheskas metaltalin in a case where it's possible that he sold the metaltal. So we don't know that it belongs to this guy simply because he wove the garment. Midas Arku, Midas Rochbo. Reuven gives the length, and Shimon gives the Rochav. Tinosein Lemidas Arko. It's more of an impression and indicates that it's his if he can measure the length of the garment. Why? To Midas Rochbo, Shirikam Sharle. It's very easy to, let's say, guess or evaluate the measure of the rochav. Kad mechasi leimar v'koi. In other words, maybe this swindler actually saw the rightful owner, the true owner, covering himself with this garment. And he can evaluate exactly what the rochav is. So it doesn't prove a thing. But midas archel lo mishtayerla. Now, why doesn't he know the measure of the length. He says a garment that's worn in the matter that we wear a talus today, the breadth of the garment hung down the wearer's back. So you look at the person who's wearing the talus and you can see how long it goes down. However, the length was wrapped around the body. So it's much easier for the observer to gauge the garment's breadth than its length. Now, one person, midas arko, midas rachvo, midas gamov, one person gives both the length and the breadth. The other one gives you the combined measure of the length and breadth. Again, the word gamov has to do with Greek. But in any event, it's much more impressive if he gives you both the length and the breadth separately as two different measurements. Midas arko, midas rachvo, midas mishkalosov. What happens if a third guy comes along and he gives the weight? Weight is the greatest proof and supersedes that of breadth and length. And the reason for that is it's unusual to weigh a cloak. And if somebody has knowledge of the weight of a cloak, that's proof of ownership. Hu Omer Simone Haget, Omer Simone Get. She and he both claim the get. He says he didn't give her the get. She says she received the get. And they each give Simonim is Inosin law. The fact that he knows the Simonim proves absolutely nothing. He created the get. But the fact that she knows the intimate Simonim, it must be that she received the get. But what's the case? How does she identify the get? Ilay minis arkova rochbo tilma bahari denoket lechazise. In other words, he was holding on to the get. She could gauge the dimension of the get, but he never actually delivered the get. Ella, but what would be a valid simon to return the get to her? Nekev yeshbo bitzad os ploni. There's a hole on the side of this letter. She specifies a letter. And this she can't know from just a casual, glance at the get, which is in the hands of the Baal. It must be that he gave her the get. Who omer simone achut v'hi omer simone hachut. Once again, they both give simonim, saying, "La, how does she know the simonim unless she received the get?" B'man. If you're talking about white or red, what was the color of the cord that was attached to the get? Maybe once again, he was holding the get. She saw the color of the cord that was holding the get. Ella, but rather b'midas arko. She can tell you the measure of the length of the get, and that proves that she had the get. Hu omer b'chafisa, v'hi omeres b'chafisa. They both testify that the get was found inside a bag, a skin, or a bag that's made of hide. Saying lo. Why? I mean, until now, we've always been saying that if they equal out, we give it to her. My timer, Meida Yoda, she knows the Chol Made Isle Bechafisa Hu Manachle. She knows that whenever he has something of value, he places it in a skin bag. So the fact that she has knowledge that the get was found in a skin bag doesn't prove a thing. Mishnah, V'ad Masai Chayev Lahachriz, Ad Kadesh Yedu Bo Shchenov, Divrei Rabbi Meir. So how long do you have to keep announcing that you found the Aveda until the neighbors know about it? Okay, we'll see what that means. Who are these neighbors? Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shalosh Regalim. You have to announce it on 3 festivals, and the people are Ola L'Regem, the Achar Regel Achar, and even another week after the last of the 3 Regalim. Shivas Yomim Kadesh Yelcha Beso Shlosha. The Achsa Shlosha. This man hears about an Aveda. He doesn't know for sure that he lost the Aveda. He's going to go home. That'll take him 3 days. and he'll check out all his possessions till he's missing something. Now give him 3 days to go back, and Yachris Yom Echad, the 6 days plus 1 day of Hachraza, and that's what we have to do. Tana, we learned in a brisa. Just looking at the clock for a moment. A second. Okay, maybe we'll learn just a few more minutes, not too long, and then we'll, God willing, we'll try to combine Chav Ches and Chav Tes tomorrow, if that's possible. Tana, Shchene Aveda. Okay, so we have a brisa that you have to announce that you found this object to the Shchene Aveda. My Shchene Aveda, what is the neighbors of the lost object? What does that mean? Ilema Shchenim Tebal Aveda, that's what we thought. It meant the neighbors of the person who lost it. He Yodel, if he knows who lost it, is Leis Lahadrinil. Obviously, he doesn't know who lost it, otherwise he would have returned it. But rather the people who are in the area where he found the object. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, 3 regalim plus a week. Uramino, we have a kasha from a steer of a Mishnah of Ishlosh of Marcheshvin, Sholem Esagshon. On the 3rd of Marcheshvin, we begin asking for rain, saying Talmud Livroch. Rabbi Galil Omer, Bezayin, Bo, Tesvav Yom Achar Achag. We wait for 15 days after the Chag, and we announce it, and we begin the process of asking for rain on the 7th of Marcheshvan. Kedei sheyagia achron sheberetziol in our pras, so that the last pilgrim who came for Alila Regel could reach Nahar Pras, which is the most distant border of the country before the rain falls. Anyway, we see from this Mishnah that from Yerushalayim to the furthest border of the land of Eretz Yisrael is a 15-day journey. So why does Rabbi Yehuda say that we're going to allow 3 days to travel home from Yerushalayim when you were Ola Regel to examine your belongings? It should give him 15 days. Amar Rav Yosef lo kasha, kan b'mikdash rishon, v'kan b'mikdash sheni. Migdash rishon d'nefishi Yisrael tuva. At the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, the Jews were very large in number. The Torah testifies about them. This is a pasuk in Malachim Aleph. It says, "Yehuda v'Yisrael Rabim kechol hashal yom l'ro." Is be'inan kuli high. Then we have to allow for a 15-day trip from Yerushalayim to the furthest border at Narpas. But there was a very limited population of Jews at the time of the Beis Hamikdash in Eretz Yisrael. D'chsiv behu kol hakahol ke'echad arba ribu alofim shlosh me'os v'shishim. The total number of the entire congregation was 42,360. Is lo bin and kuli high. They weren't so spread out that they would have to take a full 15 days to reach the Nar Pras. So the Gemara is assuming that because the population was smaller, the borders of the land were also easily accessible. And now Abai is going to challenge Rav Yosef, and that in Mirza Hashem we will pick up on Yom Revi'i. Okay, then? So we'll stop here. Thank you so much.